How many times have you started a health routine just for it to go sideways a week or two into it, and then you've ended up saying to yourself, I'm just not someone who's very consistent? Today I want to challenge that story because in my 10 years of coaching women, I have never met someone who could not be taught the skill of consistency. I've never met someone who failed because they didn't try hard enough. Pretty much every woman I've ever coached just needs to understand the system that she's working with, where the leaks in the bucket are, and then she's on her merry way. And that could be you too. My name is Paige. I'm a yoga teacher, personal trainer, and life coach, and I post videos every week like this to try and help you stop starting over. I also created a community and coaching program where we come together to do the things that we need to do and get it done with some support and some love, because the shame and the guilt is getting you nowhere. The real reason habits fall apart. Here's the thing that I see over and over. You pick a plan, probably one that's too ambitious. You stick to the plan, maybe for a week or two, and then at some point, something happens. It's a birthday, it's something at work, you have a bad night's sleep, one of the kids is sick, you're sick, and it all falls apart. And maybe you try again on Monday, or maybe you say, I'll try again on Monday 3 times in a row, or maybe it all just falls apart and you give up completely. Ever happened? In that time between not doing the thing as part of the plan and then completely ignoring that plan ever existed, there's a heap of shame and a heap of guilt. And here's the thing, that shame and guilt is you identifying as the failure point. You're not. Life happened. You are going to get sick. Your kids are going to get sick. Things are going to happen at work. Someone's going to have a birthday and there will be cake, and you deserve to eat that cake no matter what your goals are. You need a plan that factors that in. You need an identity that is shifted towards getting you your goals, not being in battle with them. Every high performer, whether it's in business or as an athlete, has more than just the perfect plan, but they have a plan for recovery, a plan for when things go wrong, a buffer of time to get to the end of the project, whatever it might be, because it is accepted everywhere outside of our own internal things that we make up that things are going to go wrong, that there is potential for the plan to not go to plan. So why don't you do that to yourself? You don't do it to yourself because the industry has been geared towards you failing so that they make more money over and over again. And I understand the irony in me saying that as someone who makes money helping people with this, but I run a terrible business model where I would love for you to learn what you need to learn, get empowered, and then head off on your merry way and do the thing that you want to do. Partially because I just believe that's the right thing to do, and partially because I get very bored helping people do the same thing over and over again, and I don't want to be a part of any kind of spiral. I want to be a part of getting you out of that spiral. So what do we do about it? The Monday trap. I want to talk about Monday for a second because I think that it is just a terrible thing that people have attached to. We've been conditioned that everything starts on Monday because the work week starts on Monday. And so you start your plan on Monday, and then something goes wrong on Wednesday, and then you just give up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And for those days, you are just living in shame and guilt, spiraling out of control internally, and then waking up Monday and expecting a completely different thing to happen from a worse starting point. When you decide to make a change and you feel motivated and excited and you start a plan, you're in a much better place than when you've spent 4 days telling yourself that you're a failure because it didn't work and it's the first week of this. And I've been here so many times before and I can't believe this is happening again. That's not a great starting place. I have heaps of tools. One of the tools that I have for this specific problem is same day recovery. So sure, the morning went to absolute crap. You woke up late, or your kid was sick and you've had no sleep and you didn't have a very good breakfast because you had to grab something while you're out. Cool, but you can still eat a good lunch. You can still have a good dinner. You can still go for that walk that you were planning to go for. And even if your calories are wrong today, you got to walk in and that's a win, and we can go into the next day with that attitude. There is always something that can be done to recover the day so that you don't wake up with the shame and guilt the next day, which gives you a better chance of making a better choice the next day. And we can keep doing that regardless of Monday. A theme that comes up a lot on this channel is identity, and the identity piece of this is big. The stories that you tell yourself matter a lot, and the woo-woo yoga teacher in me is going to come out for a minute, because there is a little voice in most of our heads that is just constantly talking to us about stuff, and you're either listening to it or you're not, but subconsciously you are. And if you keep saying to yourself, I can't stick to anything, I'm not that kind of person, I'm not a fit girl, I don't diet, all of that's being heard and absorbed, and you are acting in alignment with that. Yes, you're telling yourself you started this plan and you want to do things differently, but internally you don't believe any of that. And so that's where the disconnect starts. You don't identify as the behavior you're trying to act as. And so your body and your brain and your mind, they all come together to sabotage you, because we are ingrained to do what makes us feel safe. And what feels safe is what feels aligned. So if you've been talking shit to yourself and then you want to try and behave differently, sorry, but all that shit talk is going to hold you back. Because we like tools. One of the tools that I use for people is to do a bit of an identity sweep. Pay attention for the next week to the things that you do, the things that you don't do, the things that you say out loud, the things that you don't say out loud, and the things that you kind of have never noticed before that happen, reactions, attitudes. Notice. Awareness precedes action, and you need to know where you're at before you can make a change. Once you start to see, hey, I'm actually someone who does brush their teeth twice a day. I am someone who makes the bed. I do go for a walk most days without thinking about it, because the dog needs it. So maybe I am more active than I thought. Like, once you can start to put a positive spin on the things that you are doing, pay more attention to that. Once you can start to notice who you actually are, then we can look at the plan that you want to have for who you want to be. And we can look at the disconnect between those two and figure out what the right next steps are. Because just because you want to be someone who does a marathon doesn't mean that the next step is to start marathon training. If you are actually someone who's incredibly unhealthy, incredibly unfit, and in a really dark place, some of that's probably going to need to be fixed before we can start any realistic marathon plan. This is where the house analogy comes in. I like to think of you as an entity, a house. You are the being of the house. And we want you to be in homeostasis, which is like the scientific term for things being all good and well. People who are high achievers tend to need to really focus on putting in a ceiling above them so that they don't burn out by trying to do all the things. People who tend to have more anxious and depressive tendencies need to have a floor so that they do the bare minimum to keep moving and feel good about that, even if it is laying on the floor. What can I handle? And then this analogy expands, because we love tools, into all kinds of things about different boundaries and how to protect your energy and all that kind of stuff. But what I want you to understand for this piece is the floor and ceiling concept. No matter the plan, no matter the goal, no matter whether it's fitness related, if you want to do something, what is the minimum viable effort required on a daily, weekly, whatever applies, basis for you to get that goal? And when you have days, because you will, where that is all you can do, you need to celebrate it. I did the bare minimum. Is worth celebrating, is worth noticing and embodying and being like, still working towards being the person that I want to be. You don't have to work out a ceiling unless you're one of those people looking at the first order 8 type people. Then you do need to work this out. But maybe you need to work out a ceiling. What is enough done that I feel productive and I've utilized my energy appropriately and I am girl bossing all the way to wherever I want to be, but I am not burning out. That one can be a little harder. I haven't quite figured out how to generically help someone understand this. This is very unique to the people. If you feel like one of those people, please comment. What is the thing that you struggle with burning out on? And I will see if I can help you. So along with the house analogy, which has just been an ever-growing analogy that's been kind of built around and with the community, I now have a couple of new things. So there is the daily tidy. So every day, before you go to bed, when you wake up, depends on the kind of person you are, but every day, you probably have a little routine where you put your house back together because it's lived in and things are cyclical and there's always dishes to be done and beds to be made and things to happen, right? So you probably have a little routine, whether you realize it or not, that you do to just kind of pull it back together. I have 2. I have morning opening and nighttime closing routines, right? You need that for anything that you're working on, especially identity-based stuff. You need a second to just quickly tidy things up. Okay, diet didn't go to plan today, but that's okay. What do I have tomorrow to eat? Am I on plan? Is there anything I need to think about? Just a little mental checklist, if nothing more, than to keep you tidy in and around the things that you're working on that are challenging your identity, that are taking up space in your mental load right now, that are going to take a little bit of extra energy to get you to do. You need to have that daily kind of check-in, the little cleanup. And the last little tool that fits into this, although I can't really figure out how to fit it into the house analogy, is just that I have a 2-day rule. So if you're choosing to work on something, you can take a day or 2 off, but you really shouldn't ever take that 3rd day off. So you get up Monday, you do the thing, by Wednesday it falls apart. Maybe you just call that a write-off. You can call Thursday a write-off too, but then you're going to have to do something Friday. You can have Saturday, Sunday off, but then you got to get back into it Monday. And depending on what your goal is, this is either going to feel really easy and achievable or really unbelievably hard. But then you apply to the 2-day rule your floor and your ceiling. So maybe there was a really bad day where everything went wrong, and instead of the shame and guilt spiral, you say to yourself, that was a day, I'm going to take another one to recover. And then on Friday, I'm going to do the bare minimum. And then on Saturday, I'm going to do the bare minimum plus whatever I have. And then we keep going. That is tools, systems supporting your consistency. How do I know that it'll help? Because everything that I've described is in my Stop Starting Over coaching membership, because I got absolutely sick of women having this problem of shame and guilt spirals. We don't need it. There's enough pressure on us to already do everything perfectly. I figured this one out, so let's do it. If you're interested in the membership, then all the links are down below. But essentially, you get 90 minutes a week with me. You get a community of women who are doing this with you, and they are good at nudging each other when we need it. And you get all the information that I could possibly give you without any of the kind of like scare tactics and bullshit that the industry feeds to you. You are not the problem. You are not broken. You just need answers that you can act on and tools that will support you through a real life. So if any of this resonates, come in to Stop Starting Over. And if not, but you kind of like the vibe, stick around because I'm still going to give as much as I can away here. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, leave a comment down below. Not only does that engagement help me to reach more people like you who might need this help, but it also helps me with what the hell to make for these videos, because it's all well and good that I want to give this stuff away, but I need to know what you guys need to know. I do know that the next video that I'll be filming will be about that gap between knowing what to do and doing the thing, because that is the gap that I think the majority of women that I've coached struggle with. So that'll be in the next one, and hopefully I'll see you there. Have a great day.